Hey, and welcome back to my channel. Do you ever wonder what goes on behind the scenes of today's computer-driven world? These days, we rely on computer programs for everything, from controlling traffic lights to managing personal finances. The softwares we use in these systems don't just magically materialize out of nowhere. No, there are hardworking individuals and massive teams of people known as software engineers that design, develop, program, test, and maintain software systems for every and all kinds of processes and organizations. The need for dedicated software engineers arose in the 1960s during an event called the software crisis. This was a period of time in 1965 during which hardware advancements were greatly outpacing efforts to create functional and reliable computer programs. Maintaining software was time-consuming and costly. It required constant observation and was prone to malfunctions. The price to own and maintain software was twice the cost of developing it. In 1968, NATO held the first software engineering conference where computer science experts from around the world gathered to develop and streamline a standard practice for developing software based on the principles of engineering. The result was a slow but sure renaissance. While the software crisis officially lasted into the 1980s, the software development process was heavily streamlined and eventually perfected in preceding years. In the late 80s and into the 90s, software developers became more experienced and developed new programming languages and pipelines, and became to be seen as a viable long-term profession for those interested in the computers and information technology. Now, there is more demand for software engineers than ever. In 2019, an estimated 1 million people were employed as software engineers, and that number is expected to grow exponentially as the need for more developers grows and more people get access to resources and training in the field. Software engineers are paid generously as they are responsible for developing and maintaining systems crucial in the operation of all kinds of companies and organizations. Additionally, they must be well educated and familiar with computer science concepts in addition to basic math, science, and even communication skills. But what does a software engineer do specifically? What individual roles for software engineers are there in an organization, and what are their duties and responsibilities? In this video, we're going to give a broad overview about what a software engineer does and some more specific roles that fit into the software development and engineering niche. But before we get started, consider liking, subscribing, clicking that bell. Really means a lot and helps us build this channel. Software engineer overview. The term software engineer is often used interchangeably with developer, programmer, or even coder. This is usually appropriate as all these roles involve similar skills and responsibilities. However, there can be a distinction between a software engineer who is familiar with more general engineering concepts and a programmer who may only be trained to write and compile code and not familiar with the design and development of software from scratch. A software engineer may have more training and experience than a coder, although this varies from role to role, company to company. Engineering is the application of specific procedures and principles to design and build machines and structures. It comes from two Latin terms, ingenium, meaning cleverness, and ingeniare, meaning to contrive or to devise. When computer technology began to develop and improve, computer scientists deemed it necessary to apply the concepts of engineering to their work to streamline and set a standard for future work. Eventually, computer engineering was born, an integration of computer science and electronic engineering for the production and maintenance of hardware and software. Software engineering then is the application of these engineering principles in the software development process. Software engineers don't just write code, they create software systems from the ground up, taking into account client requests and need to design programs, develop games, run network and control entire systems of activity from traffic lights to conveyor belts. Software engineers can be thought of like architects. They plan and design the structure that coders and developers will use to guide their own work. A software engineer's tasks include the creation and modification of new and existing systems. They design, implement, test programs' internal logic, and improve and maintain it based on the results. They also work with users and clients to create documentation and exhaustive user manuals to assist with the ease of use. There are many roles that fit under the umbrella of software engineering, but the field is typically split up into two general categories: applications and systems. Applications engineers. Application software engineers develop and maintain computer programs designed for the end user to be run on mainstream operating systems. This covers most, if not all, of the software you use on your computer except for the operating system, also known as the OS. This role is usually client or user focused, as application developers are designing softwares with a specific use in mind, from something as common as playing music to more specific tasks like managing finances. It is a job of application engineers to refer to user feedback and provide improvement updates that address issues, as well as create and maintain the software system requirements and user manual. systems engineers. On the other hand, systems engineers design and maintain the underlying software systems that applications run on, such as servers and databases and operating systems. A systems engineer, despite focusing on software, also has a working knowledge of hardware and how it interacts with the systems they're typically designing. Typically, they are team leaders and managers who design and enforce the standards of the group of developers they are working with: front-end, back-end, and full stack. Aside from applications and systems, software engineers can also be further classified into roles based on their interactions with what the end users see. For example, front-end developers, also known as client-side developers, as they are in charge of the design and function of the user interface, UI, and user experience, UX. Front-end developers take a slightly more creative and design-oriented role, as they are responsible for how a program looks, feels, and operates when someone interacts with the finished product. As such, they are thought of as the front of the stack, as the stack being the software the user is seeing. Conversely, back-end developers work behind the scenes to make sure the underlying systems that power the front end are functional. They have knowledge of frameworks and architectures, databases, APIs, which allow them to analyze a user or client's needs and ensure that a software's framework meets them. They work closely with the front-end team to ensure both sides of the stack integrate smoothly with each other, creating a perfect experience for the end user. It should hopefully be clear now that a full stack developer works on both the front and the back of development. As software gets more complex, the need for versatile, full stack developers has greatly increased. When a developer has a full range of knowledge of both front and back end development, the process can go smoother as the need for separation between the development team is reduced. This can result in a smoother workflow and faster development times. Software engineering roles. Let's finish off this video by reviewing some specific jobs in the software engineering field that might be of interest to you. Mobile developers. These are software engineers that specialize in the development of applications, games, and systems on mobile platforms such as smartphones and tablets. A front-end developer in the mobile sphere can expect to work on a platform with built-in tools and third-party applications, while a back-end developer may work on the operating systems that run on the platforms themselves. Web developers. Web developers include both front-end, the design, the functionality, and the site itself, and back-end, the development of servers and systems that allow access to the site from anywhere in the world with an internet connection. Quality assurance, or QA. While so many users are downloading and utilizing their software, there exists the potential for thousands of glitches and bugs and other issues that a developer might not catch when designing the software. A QA engineer specializes in rigorously testing and sometimes even pushing software to its limits in order to ensure that users won't run into any catastrophic issues upon release. And database engineers and system admins. Database engineers and system admins work together. Admins design, build, and maintain the database systems that companies or organizations use to organize and store information. A database engineer's job is to gather and sort that information into the database itself. DevOps engineer. DevOps are full-stack engineers that help bridge the gap between the front and back ends of development. They introduce standard practices and methodologies to both ends of development to ensure the timely production of quality work and assist with managing teams to encourage maximum collaboration. These are just a small sample of specific roles that are offered in the world of software engineering. The truth is, software development is a flexible and ever-changing field. Roles and responsibilities differ from organization to organization, but the concept remains the same. Software engineers apply the principles and processes of engineering to the world of computer program development. Software engineers can be front-end developers working on the user interface once the product is finished. Alternatively, they can also be back-end developers who work behind the scenes to build the foundations needed to hold up a complex system of objects and code. Typically though, programmers have knowledge of both front and back end and can be full stack developers who assist on both ends of the spectrum. Regardless, software engineers are some of the most in-demand workers on the job market today. With the further development and application of software systems to manage our everyday life, there's no doubt that software development is one of the most rewarding and lucrative positions out there. As always, if you have any questions or want to share which types of engineers are your favorite or ones that you resonate with, please comment down below. If you enjoyed this video, again, please consider liking, subscribing, clicking that bell. Completely free and really means a lot. You can also add me on Instagram and TikTok at Preston_Park as I try my best to post every day. Thank you again for watching, means a lot, and we'll see you on the next one.